Let me ask you something. How many times have you started something with fire in your belly, only to fall off 2 weeks later? You said you'd wake up early. You said you'd hit the gym. You said you'd finally launch that business, write that book, fix that relationship. Most people never reach their goals, not because they aren't capable, but because they're trying to operate without clarity. They're waking up each day hoping something will motivate them, push them, spark them into action. But let me tell you this, hope is not a strategy. You don't need more motivation, you need more clarity. Because when you're absolutely clear on why you're doing something, motivation becomes irrelevant, you become driven, pulled, obsessed. When your vision is locked in, when your purpose hits you so hard it shakes your soul, you don't need someone to remind you to keep going. You wake up thinking about it. You go to bed dreaming about it. That's what clarity does. It makes your goal bigger than your excuses. The truth is, if you don't know your why, every obstacle becomes a reason to quit. Every small inconvenience becomes a full-blown problem. You skip a day and suddenly it's easy to skip the whole week. But when your purpose is crystal clear, when it's personal, emotional, and undeniable, then setbacks don't shake you. They sharpen you. They remind you why you started. That's the power of clarity. It anchors you when everything else tries to pull you off course. Ask yourself this, why do you want what you say you want? And I don't mean the surface level answer. I'm not talking about I want to be richer or I want to lose weight. Dig deeper. What's the real reason? Is it because you want to be free? Because you want to prove everyone wrong? And because you want to show your kids what's possible? Because you want to feel alive again? That's your real why. And when you find it, write it down. Tattoo it on your brain. Let it be the reason you keep going when everything in you says to stop. Clarity isn't about knowing how it's going to happen. It's about knowing why it has to happen. You don't need all the answers. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need a reason powerful enough that quitting is no longer an option. Clarity brings focus. It eliminates distractions.
It eliminates distraction.
It kills procrastination. When your reason is strong enough, discipline stops being this painful force. It becomes an extension of who you are. It's no longer I have to. It becomes I get to. If you're struggling with consistency, don't look at your habits first. Look at your vision. Look at your why. When you're locked in on something that truly matters, something that speaks to your identity, your heart, your legacy, then showing up isn't hard. You force yourself to be consistent, not because you're forcing your body, but because your soul is already committed. Clarity turns effort into instinct, purpose into power. That's why clarity isn't optional, it's everything. If you want to change your life, you need to stop relying on willpower alone. Willpower is temporary. It fades, it burns out when things get tough. But emotion, that's the real fuel. That's the engine that keeps running when logic taps out. People talk about discipline and consistency like they're purely mental exercises, but they're not. They're emotional commitments. Until you attach real emotion to what you want, you'll never stick with it long enough to make it real. Think about the moments that changed your life. Were they cold, rational decisions, or were they born from fire? From heartbreak, from anger, from love, from frustration so deep that something inside of you finally snapped and said, enough! That's emotion, that's power. And when you learn how to tap into that energy, not once but daily, then taking action becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. You don't have to fight yourself every morning. You feel the urgency, the drive, the hunger, and that moves you. You can't just say, I want to get in shape. That won't last. But if you look in the mirror one day and it hits you, really hits you, that you're not living the life you know you're capable of, and that you're tired of hiding, tired of settling, tired of pretending, that will move you. You've got to find the emotional trigger, and once you do, you lock it in. You revisit it, you relive it every single day. Want to build a business? Great. But why? To prove something? To break a generational curse? To give your family a future no one in your bloodline ever had? Get emotional about it. That emotion becomes your anchor, your edge, your advantage over everyone else who's just interested. You have to go beyond wanting it. You have to feel it. Wanting is a wish. Emotion is a weapon. Use it. Stack it. Feed it. Rehearse it. Build rituals around it. Close your eyes and see the life you want. Feel the pain of staying the same. Feel the pride of showing up. Connect every action to a powerful emotional outcome. Because when the mind says quit, your emotions say keep going. When the body gets tired, the heart says, I just one more rep. That's how the great ones do it. They don't just train their minds, they train their emotions. They know how to summon passion on demand. They use pain as fuel. They use desire like fire. They don't wait to feel good to move. They move until they feel good. If you want to become consistent, stop chasing logic and start chasing what moves you. Find the emotional core behind everything you want, and then fight for it like your life depends on it. Because in many ways, it does. You will never build real consistency through logic alone. You can set all the goals you want, write the perfect plan, map out every step, but if there's no emotional weight behind it, you'll fold the moment it gets uncomfortable. Human beings are not driven by reason. We are driven by feeling. We act when we care. We push when it matters. We fight when we're connected to something deeper than a checklist. You want to change your life? Then stop thinking so much and start feeling more. Tap into the emotion that got you started in the first place. That pain, that hunger. That moment you looked around and said, I can't live like this anymore. That feeling was real. That feeling had power. That's what you need to fuel your next level. The mistake most people make is they try to stay consistent by playing the mental game only. They read the books. They write their goals. They try to stay a discipline. But discipline without emotion is dead. You can't think your way into drive. You've got to feel your way there. The kind of feeling that gets in your chest and won't let you sleep. The kind that makes you uncomfortable just sitting still. The kind that wakes you up at 4 a.m. with fire in your gut because you know you've got something to prove to yourself, to the world, to the people who told you you'd never make it. When emotion takes over, you stop negotiating with yourself. You stop talking yourself out of doing the work. It's not a should I work out today, it's I have to. It's not a can I afford to start this business, it's I can't afford to keep playing small. Emotion turns hesitation into action. It kills the excuses. Because when it really means something to you, when you feel it deep, you stop letting things get in your way. You don't care if you're tired. You don't care if it's raining. You don't care if no one's supporting you. You show up anyway. You bleed for it. You burn for it. You burn for it. That's the kind of intensity you need if you want to be consistent for more than a week. You can't rely on surface level inspiration. You need to wire your emotions into your habits. You need to emotionally attach yourself to the outcome you're chasing. Imagine it. Visualize it. Feel the pride of becoming who you said you'd be. Feel the pain of staying stuck. Use both. One will pull you forward, the other will push you from behind. That's how you keep moving when motivation dies, because motivation will die. But emotion is raw. It's renewable. It's yours. When you learn to tap into it, everything changes. You become consistent not by force, but by fire, by connection, by meaning. That's how you win. That's how you keep going. The truth is, your life will rise or fall based on the standard you set for yourself, not how you feel on any given day. Feelings are fleeting. One moment you're inspired, the next you're drained. You can't build a legacy on emotions that shift with the wind. If your consistency is based on how you feel, you're done. You'll never make it. You'll show up when it's easy, quit when it's hard, and talk yourself into mediocrity over and over again. But when you raise your standards, when you draw the line and say, this is who I am, this is what I do, no matter what, that's when the game changes. That's when your actions become automatic. That's when you stop waiting to feel ready and start becoming unstoppable. The champions, the peak performers, the people who get things done, they don't operate off emotion. They operate off identity. They don't say, I don't feel like doing it today. They say, I do it anyway. If you want to become consistent, you have to stop treating discipline like it's optional. You have to stop giving yourself an out every time it gets uncomfortable. You have to stop being surprised that it's hard. Of course it's hard. Of course you're not going to feel like doing it every day. But that's not what matters. What matters is what you've decided is non-negotiable. You brush your teeth every day not because it's exciting, but because it's a standard. You don't debate it. You don't skip it just because you're tired. You just do it. The same has to become true for your goals. You want to get in shape? Going to the gym isn't a choice. It's part of who you are. You want to grow your business? Showing up and doing the work is your default setting, not something you do when you're in the mood. It becomes your minimum level of operation. Your emotional state doesn't dictate your actions. Your standards do. That's the difference between those who succeed and those who stay stuck. Most people wait to feel inspired to take action. Winners take action until they feel inspired. They don't give themselves permission to shrink when things get heavy. They hold the line. They push. They rise. Because they've decided that anything less than their best is unacceptable. And once that decision is made, everything else falls into place. This isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. And consistency doesn't come from motivation. It comes from a standard that says, I do what needs to be done regardless of how I feel. You have to install that mindset into your nervous system. You have to condition it. Live it. Own it. And the day you stop operating from your feelings and start operating from your standards is the day you become dangerous. The day you become consistent. The day you become unstoppable. People wait far too long for momentum. They sit around hoping for the perfect conditions, the right mood, the ideal level of motivation before they move. But here's the truth. Momentum isn't something that shows up one day and magically carries you forward. Momentum is built, it's manufactured. It's earned through action, especially when you don't feel like taking any. The mistake most people make is thinking that momentum is something external, something that happens to them. But it doesn't. It's created by you in the trenches, in the grind, in the silence when no one's watching and nothing feels exciting. If you only act when it feels good, you're going to stay stuck forever. The people who win in life, in business, in health, in anything, they understand that the first few steps are supposed to feel awkward. They understand that progress doesn't start with clarity or confidence. It starts with courage. The courage to move, the courage to show up even when the fire isn't there yet. Because they know this, action creates clarity. Motion creates emotion. You don't wait for the mood, you build it. You manufacture momentum by putting one foot in front of the other again and again until the energy kicks in, and it will. But only after you've earned it. The beginning is where most people quit. They start, it feels slow, it feels clunky, and they assume something's wrong. They think they're not cut out for it. But that's just the price of momentum. That's the resistance you have to push through to earn the spark. You have to create forward movement before you feel forward movement. You have to build your own wave before it carries you. The gym doesn't feel good at first. Writing the first pages feels stiff. Making the first calls feels awkward. But consistency in those early stages is what flips the switch. It's what takes you from dragging yourself through the mud to running downhill with fire. Because once you stack a few wins, once you keep showing up despite the resistance, something starts to shift. Your brain starts to trust you. Your body gets in sync. Your emotions catch up. That's momentum. And once you have it, protect it like your life depends on it, because it does. Don't take days off just because. Don't skip steps because it's inconvenient. Momentum is fragile in the beginning, and once it breaks, it's harder to rebuild. So if you want to change your life, stop waiting to feel ready. Ready is a lie. You build momentum by moving first, by doing the thing before you feel prepared, by acting when you'd rather stay in bed. And if you do that long enough, you become a force of nature. You become consistent. You become powerful because you're not waiting anymore. You're not hoping. You're manufacturing momentum on demand, and that's what separates the good from the great. The moment you truly decide to change is the moment everything shifts. People don't fail because they can't do the work or because they don't have the skills. They fail because they never decided. They never made a real, unwavering commitment to themselves and their goals. They've made wishes, hopes, and plans, but they've never made a decision. And that's the first place it all falls apart. You see, the power of decision is one of the most underestimated forces in the world. The moment you decide to succeed is the moment everything becomes possible. When you truly decide, you're no longer negotiating with your weaknesses, your doubts, or your fears. You're no longer wondering if you can do it. You just know that you will. And that certainty changes everything. There's no middle ground in true commitment. It's not, I'll try to go to the gym, or I'll see how things go with the business. go. It's I am going and I will not stop. That's the kind of decision that propels you forward. When you commit, it's no longer a question of if you'll get it done. It's about when. There's a fire inside of you that burns the excuses, that eliminates any uncertainty. That's what happens when you make the real decision. It's a non-negotiable. It becomes part of who you are. But commitment isn't enough. Commitment isn't enough because feelings change, motivation fades, and life gets in the way. But resolve, that's what keeps you in the game when everything is falling apart. It's resolve that gets you through the tough days, the days when you feel like you can't go on, the days when your body is screaming for rest, the days when everyone around you is telling you to take a break. Resolve is what makes you push harder. What makes you push harder? Resolve is what gives you that final ounce of strength to keep fighting. It's not about how you feel in the moment. It's about what you've decided to do and the unshakable resolve to see it through. When you decide, commit, and resolve, everything else falls into place. You stop doubting yourself, you stop second-guessing, and you stop questioning whether you have what it takes. You simply act. You create momentum, and with that momentum, you're unstoppable. The world around you may shift, and everything might get harder than you imagined, but you stand firm. You push through. Because the decision has already been made, your commitment is already locked in, and your resolve is the steel that holds everything together. It's time to stop waiting for the right time or for life to hand you the perfect circumstances. The truth is, those circumstances will never come. Life will always throw you curveballs. There will never be a perfect moment to make your dreams happen. But when you make the decision, when you commit, and when you resolve that nothing will stop you, you step into a power you never knew existed. The power of a true decision is that it eradicates the maybe and turns it into absolutely. It's time to stop hoping and start deciding. The moment you decide to make your dream a reality is the moment everything begins to change. The road to mastery is not glamorous, it's not flashy. It's not built on one-time breakthroughs or overnight success stories. It's built on repetition, on doing the same thing over and over, day in and day out, until you no longer have to think about it. Success isn't about having the perfect plan or a one-time burst of energy. It's about creating a ritual of consistent action and doing the work even when the excitement wears off. Most people look for shortcuts. They want the magic pill, the secret formula, the fast track to success. But the truth is, there are no shortcuts. The only shortcut is to do it. Do it every day, do it relentlessly, and do it until it becomes who you are. That's how you become a master. Repetition is not just the act of doing something multiple times. It's about embedding those actions into your identity. Every time you repeat something, every time you commit to that daily effort, you're reinforcing a habit. And habits are the foundation of mastery. The top performers, the people who've truly created something extraordinary, they didn't get there by doing something once or twice. They got there by showing up. They did it so many times that they didn't even think about it anymore. It wasn't a task. It was part of them. They built skill through constant, unwavering repetition, and they didn't stop when it was hard. They didn't stop when it felt like progress was slow. They understood that every small step added up to something massive over time. This is the ultimate difference between those who achieve greatness and those who remain average. Most people expect immediate results. They want to see rapid growth, and when they don't, they quit. They think they're doing something wrong, but the real problem is that they're looking for validation too soon. Mastery doesn't care about speed, it cares about consistency. It doesn't matter how fast you go as long as you keep going. The reason people fail is because they stop before the results show up. They stop before they've repeated the process enough times for it to click. Look at any expert, any high achiever, and you'll see someone who has been into the trenches doing the work over and over again. It's the boring, repetitive stuff that builds the foundation of greatness. The early mornings, the late nights, the phone calls that don't bring results yet, the sets and reps at the gym that feel insignificant in the moment, the emails, the planning, the strategy. It's all the small repetitive actions that add up to mastery. And once you understand this, everything changes. The pressure to get it right, it fades away. You stop worrying about perfection and start focusing on the process. Beauty. Because mastery isn't about doing everything perfectly, it's about doing it consistently over time. It's about making the mundane extraordinary through repetition. So, if you want to be successful, stop searching for the shortcut. Stop thinking that one brilliant move will change everything. Just do the work. Repeat it. Keep going. And one day you'll look back and realize that those small actions repeated over and over were what created your greatness.